Hey everyone, this is Jason Bell. In this episode, I am back at Texas Card House after the debacle of an episode and a session over at the Lodge in Austin a couple weeks ago. Here I'm playing 1-2 No Limit Hold'em with a $300 max buy-in, and I buy in for the $300 max. Hope you guys enjoy. Please like and subscribe. Here we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first hand of the evening. I'm about 10 minutes into this session, and I look down at a premium Ace-King offsuit. I'm in the hijack. The under the gun opens for $18. Middle position player calls the 18, and of course I am bumping this one up. I 3-bet to $60. The under the gun folds, and the middle position player makes the call. So we are heads up to a flop, which is 2 queen ace with 2 clubs. All right, so I've got top. I will definitely take this one. Of course, the middle position player checks. And, what amount do I bet here? Do I bet a third of the pot, which is pretty much standard nowadays? Sometimes you go up to maybe half a pot. The middle position player only had about $100 left. And I think at this point, given the size of the pot, that it just makes the most sense to put him all in. So that's what I do. I jam for about $100 effective, and unfortunately the middle position player quickly folds. But I take a nice sized pot down here. Apologize for the camera position here in these first few hands. When I set out this table, only the one seat was open, and I immediately requested a seat change. Regardless, in this hand, I am in the middle position and I look down at pocket sevens. The under the gun opens for $12, and I could make a case to put in the raise here, but I think pocket sevens is more of a set mining hand. So I make the call, and the button calls as well. Small blind and the big blind both fold. So we're 3 ways to a flop, which is 4, 5, 6 with 2 diamonds. The under the gun bets $20, and this is another case where I could put on the raise. I've got an open-ended straight draw, but however, the under the gun is representing some significant strength here, betting into 2 opponents. I make the call, and the button calls as well. So we're still 3 ways into a turn, which is the 9 of clubs. This time the under the gun bets $40, so I'm thinking it's possible that he's got maybe aces, kings, queens, or jacks, something of that nature. And he bets 40. I make the call. I peel one off. I still have an open-ended straight draw. The button also calls. So we're 3 ways into a river. And this pot is brewing here, a little over $200. And the river is the ace of spades. This time the button goes all in for his remaining stack, which was about $60. And even though it's really small in relation to the pot, I don't think I'm good here. It's certainly possible he had ace king, or maybe kings, queens, jacks, anything like that. And I just don't think I'm good. I make the fold, and the button folds as well. All right, folks, buckle up for this one. In this hand, I am on the button, and I look down at pocket jacks. All right. It folds around to the cutoff, who opens for $6. And I'm going to put more money into this pot. I 3-bet to $20. The small blind and the big blind both fold, and the cutoff makes the call. So we're heads up into a flop, which was 8, 6, 10 with 2 diamonds. All right, I've got an overpair. Cutoff checks, and of course I'm going to put some more money into this pot. I bet $20, a little less than half the pot, and the cutoff makes the call. The turn is the 9 of clubs. So we've got 2 diamonds and 2 clubs on the board. And I've got now an open-ended straight draw. Cutoff checks, and I'm going to put in a lot more money into this pot. I bet about a pot-sized bet of $80, and the cutoff makes the call. So what on earth does he have here? Does he also have an overpair? He doesn't seem like it, right? I mean, it was such a small open for $6. I don't think he's got a set. I think he probably would have raised a set off of the flop when I bet $20, but he didn't. Regardless, the river is the queen of clubs. All right, so I make my straight. And this time the cutoff jams. For his remaining stack, he has me slightly covered. Of course, I'm going to make the call even though the backdoor club draw got there. And I show my pocket jacks, and he shows queen 10 offsuit. And I take this one down. This was a very nice sized pot here of just over $450. I will take it. All right, in this hand, I am in the low jack, and I look down at queen 10 of clubs. This is another doozy, guys. I open for $12, and it folds all the way around to the big blind, who makes the call. So we are heads up into a flop, which is 8-9 jack. Heck yeah, all right. I flopped the nuts. Big blind checks. I bet $15, and then he goes all in for his remaining stack, which is just under $100. I'm like, okay, thanks, I'll take it. Of course, I'm going to call this one, so I do. The pot's a little over $200. He shows ace 5 of hearts. So I've got to dodge a heart here. The turn is the 5 of clubs, and the river is the 5 of spades. So I take this one down. Yes, sir. Just over $200. Thank you. Okay, in this hand, I'm in the big blind, and I look down at Queen Jack of spades. This is a pretty one. The under the gun limps, the middle position limps, the low jack raises to $12, the button calls $12, I make the call, the under the gun calls, and the middle position player calls. Holy cow. Yes, this is Texas poker. So far up to this hand, we have dodged the Texas-y poker style of play, but nope. We hit it here, that's for sure. We are very multi-way into a flop, which is King 9-4 Rainbow. It checks to the low jack, who bets $30. The button calls, and I make the call. I've got some backdoors here. I've got a gutter to the straight. I've got backdoor spade draw. The under the gun and the middle position players both fold. Pot is a little over $150. The turn is the queen of hearts. All right. So I've got second pair here and still got a gutter. My spade draw has shot out the window, that's for sure. It checks around. The river is the 5 of hearts. And you know what? It's possible that I'm good here. It ends up checking around. I end up showing my queen jack and I end up winning. So I'll take it. Okay, in this hand, I'm in the big blind and I look down at ace queen offsuit. All right. The hijack opens for $10. Folds around to the small blind who makes the call, and of course I'm going to bump this one up. So I 3-bet to $40, and both the hijack and the small blind make the call. So the pot is $120. We're 3 ways to a flop, which is king 5 ace with 2 spades. All right, I've got top pair, really good kicker, and a backdoor nut flush draw. The small blind makes the check. I decide to check here. I'm still out of position, and the hijack makes the check. All right, so this is interesting. The turn is the 3 of diamonds. The small blind checks, and I think at this point I need to put some money into the pot. I bet nearly a pot-sized bet of $100, and the hijack makes the call. The small blind quickly gets out of there. The pot is well over $300 at this point. The river is a 7 of diamonds. All right. So the backdoor diamond draw gets there, but I think I'm probably pretty good. I announced 200, put $200 into the pot, and the hijack goes into the tank for a solid minute. You know, and at this point, my heart's beating about 10,000 beats per minute, and trying to put on my best poker face possible here. I'm thinking that it's possible that he has 2 pair, but I'm thinking in actuality, he might have something like ace queen, maybe the same hand as I do, or maybe a worse ace, right? Maybe something like ace 4 or ace 9, something of that nature. But, you know, for him not to immediately go all in definitely means he doesn't have diamonds. It likely means he doesn't have 2 paired or a set, but probably a weaker ace or the same hand that I have. But after a minute, he actually folds and I take this one down. This was a nice sized pot here. Okay, in this hand, I have moved seats once again. I'm in the under the gun +1 position and I look down at pocket tens. The under the gun limps. I'm going to bump this one up, so I raise it to $15. The low jack calls, the big blind calls, and of course the under the gun calls. Pot is a little over $60. We are 4 ways to a flop, which is 3, 8, ace with 2 spades. Oh man. All right, so that ace is pretty darn scary. Pocket tens are probably not going to be good here. I end up checking, and it actually ends up checking around. The turn is the king of diamonds. All right, I am definitely not going to be good here. I'm pretty much giving up at this point. It ends up checking to the low jack, who bets $25. Big blind makes the call. The under the gun thinks about it for a long time and ends up making the call, and I end up folding. So the pot is $136. The river is the 5 of diamonds. It checks around. The under the gun shows jack 8 of diamonds, and the low jack shows king 10 of hearts. So that's interesting. The under the gun was going in on 3rd pair and the low jack with 2nd pair. I guess the way the betting happened after the flop, that, you know, it made the appearance that nobody really had an ace. So the low jack with that king thought that he was pretty good, and he ended up being good. So this was a pretty interesting hand to watch. Okay, in this hand, I am in the cutoff, and I look down at ace 10 offsuit. The low jack limps, The hijack limps, and I'm going to bump this one up. This is definitely not a limpable hand, and as many of you know, I am not a fan of limping at all. I bumped this one up to 16 bucks. The big blind makes the call, the low jack makes the call, and the hijack thinks about it for a bit and ends up folding. So the pot is a little more than 50 bucks. We are 3 ways to a flop, which was 9, 4, 8 with 2 hearts and a diamond. The big blind checks, the low jack checks, and yeah, I've got some overs here, but I decide to check as well. Turn is the 3 of clubs, some more air here, and ends up checking around. River is the 6 of diamonds, so there's not much going on here. I don't really have anything, and it kind of feels like nobody else does as well. Everybody checks. I show my ace high and actually take this one down. The other players muck. I'll take it. Okay, this is the final hand of the evening. I'm in the low jack position and I look down at pocket 4s. The under the gun +1 limps. Middle position player raises to $10. I make the call. This is definitely not a 3-bettable hand, but more of a set mining hand like those pocket 7s earlier. And the under the gun +1 makes the call as well. So we're 3 ways to a flop, which is 2 ace 10 with 2 diamonds. All right, so I'm pretty much done at this point. The ace is out there, 10's out there. I didn't hit my set. It checks around. The turn is the 2 of clubs. The under the gun +1 bets 20 bucks. Middle position player makes the call, and yep, I'm going to release this one, so that's what I do. The river is the queen of diamonds. Both the under the gun +1 and middle position player checks, and the +1 shows 10-7 offsuit, and the middle position player shows ace 7 offsuit, and the middle position player takes this one down. All right, well, this session went a lot better than the last session at the lodge. I was in for 300, out for 690 for a profit of 390 bucks. I think I played a lot better this time around. Didn't think I made that many mistakes, if any. Probably could have adjusted a little bit on some of the bet sizings, but overall a pretty decent session. Please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.